Aller først så vil jeg ønske velkommen til Shamir Ghumra, altså direktør i BRE, for å høre litt om hvordan BRE jobber, sertifiseringens rolle i en verden der bærekraft og det å dokumentere kvaliteter blir stadig mer og mer viktig, og høre litt om hvordan både BREEAM internasjonalt og BREEAM-NOR kan spille en viktig rolle i det. Så velkommen til Shamir.
Hello everybody. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person with you right now, but very fortunate and very warm welcomes and greetings from BRE and myself, Shamir Ghumra. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Head of Building Performance Services at BRE and ultimately responsible for the BREEAM business globally. So I was asked to really share some thoughts with you today on this wonderful moment where we see the updated new construction scheme for BREEAM-NOR coming to the market. And just to really kind of set the scene, I think it's important to really recognise that the partnership and long-standing collaboration that we've had with BREEAM-NOR and obviously a lot of the stakeholders on this call today. So very much, first of all, a heartfelt thanks really for your ongoing support and collaboration and spirit of working together to really accelerate the uptake and use of BREEAM in the region. So when we look at BREEAM, many of you have been involved with us for a number of years, but BREEAM started back in 1990, and over the last 32 years now, we've made some significant impacts on the built environment around the world. We've issued now over 600,000 certificates, and we're present in over 90 countries around the world, but our core market still remains Europe, growing the United States as well. And with significant market share of green building certification across Europe, you guys have clearly made a massive contribution to that. It is incredibly important that we grow from within our core markets, and the updated scheme here that we're talking about today is a key component of that evolution and growth and opportunity to scale. And I think something else that we'll be talking about throughout the day, about the opportunity to scale and grow more assets and buildings coming into the BREEAM family of schemes and our wider ecosystem, something I'll touch upon a bit later. So where we were 30 odd years ago, BREEAM was created very much from within the UK, but we see it now as a global system and a global community of which you are all absolutely integral to. And within this community, we've seen huge change and success of building level assessment methodologies around the world. And many of the schemes have looked at what BREEAM created and have followed suit as well. But actually, when we look at what we've achieved over the last 32 years, it is great. But actually, we look ahead to the scale and pace of change that is really upon us. The drive towards net zero buildings, the recognition of the climate emergency that's upon us, the ever-growing requirements around regulation, and things like the EU taxonomy, which I know will no doubt be in the minds of many on this call, and how we respond to these challenges of today and the challenges that will increasingly become ever more relevant and ever more real to all of us as we get closer to 2030, 2040, and ultimately 2050. And I think that's a big part of what our evolution of our scheme, not just with new construction that we're here to celebrate and recognise today, but also how do we evolve our capabilities from a digital point of view. Because many of you will know that actually in the construct of a BREEAM assessment, there's a lot of information, a lot of data that is gathered through that process. But what we need to do now more than ever is be able to harness the power of that data and information to translate it into a way that isn't just purely about the certification process, but to add further value in the decision-making process for organisations, for clients, for investors, to fund owners and so forth, to really say, well, I know this about my building, but now I need to know more. But the underlying data that fed into the assessment now has a multiplicity of uses and benefits, which I think are critical. And it's not binary. It's not to say that one thing leads to one single consequence or outcome, but the holistic nature of what BREEAM has been assessing for many years now is a core strength of ours. And the fact that we are science-based. We are rooted in evidence, and the way that our criteria are developed through stakeholder engagement is a fundamental differential for our scheme. And it is our scheme. It is us as BRE, obviously our partner in Norway, and all of you as stakeholders have been contributing to BREEAM to give you confidence to continue to invest and support and to advocate, to pioneer the use and uptake of BREEAM in your region. So as we do more of this in a truly digitalized environment, we're able to then leverage the power of that data beyond the certification unto itself and create more value, more insights, more benefits. And inevitably, there are going to be more policy interventions from government, from local governments, from private organisations to recognise a sense of urgency. And the closer we get to some of these milestone dates that we talk about, there is therefore going to be so much more impact that such regulations and drivers are going to create. So the UN Principles of Responsible Investment a couple of years ago came out with a phraseology that I quite like about the inevitable policy response. And it is inevitable, I believe. But how we react and respond to these challenges, I think, is going to be the differential between what we've been building up for a number of years with our partners in the regions around Europe and the rest of the world, but equally the benefits that we can not just build it into the system, but actually to all those who are contributing as stakeholders to the BREEAM universe, if you will. I think it's also important just to reflect briefly on where do we see the market heading. You know, we've touched upon the regulatory environment, taxonomy and other requirements as well. Biodiversity still remains in a significant risk and threat, but an opportunity for us to make more improvements by better understanding the ecological environment within which we operate, live, work, breathe, is going to be fundamental to what happens next. So as we build out systems and criteria, I think it's always heartening for me to recognise that BREEAM has always been addressing these issues. You know, the ecological impacts of new construction, the health and well-being criteria and design within a building, materials, embodied carbon, all these aspects that organisations and other stakeholders are now looking at in the round and saying, oh, we need to focus on this issue, we need to focus on that issue. But actually, BREEAM has been doing this for over 30 years. And that gives me comfort. And hopefully that gives the marketplace and our stakeholders comfort and confidence that actually these are things that we have recognised and have been working on a science-based approach for many years. But now what we need to do is be able to bring those things out and convey them to our stakeholders in a way that actually they can resonate with and has direct meaning and a correlation to what those issues are of the moment, and will no doubt be increasingly relevant as time goes on. Circularity being another one at the front of mind, I think, of the things that will be coming around the corner and over the hill over the next couple of years. And I think where often people ask me about, okay, well, that's all well and good, but how's the narrative going to change? We talk about ESG, performance, disclosure, reporting, sustainability in the round. And I do believe that we are entering into an era where credibility and transparency are going to be the key watchwords of what happens next. And within that, I think there's this element of authenticity. And therefore, the organizations that have that element of authenticity and can base their decisions and reporting requirements or performance, as you will, on credible science-based approaches, I think is going to be the differentiator for many organizations, assets, buildings, portfolios, funds, whatever it might be, in the years to come. It is starting to have traction, I believe, and I think therefore it's even more incumbent upon us as an organization and the values that we have as BRE to really build upon who we are, what we stand for, and why we do what we do, why we partner with organizations like we have in Norway, who share our values, share our fundamental beliefs in creating a better built environment through science-based approaches, through collaborative endeavour, and fundamentally being able to shift our expectations and understandings and the impacts that built environment has today, and indeed how our built environment will have to evolve over the years to come. So I do hope you've been enjoying the day and whatever's left of the day to come. I'd obviously like to thank our partners in Norway for being so supportive and so engaging with BRE and the BREEAM scheme for many, many years. We do hope to continue our relationship for the years to come. And I would like to thank all of you for taking part, being the advocates, being the voice of change and reason within your own organisations, in the marketplace, in all aspects of what we are here to deliver collectively, collaboratively. And I think this is so critical now, more than ever, that the advent here of the new construction scheme in Norway, yet another milestone and significant achievement to recognise the potential opportunity that we all have collectively to make the built environment so much more sustainable, a just, equitable place for everyone involved. So thank you so much and take care.
I vår medlemsundersøkelse som jeg refererte til I sted, så var et av de punktene som medlemmene våre sier noe av det viktigste å være medlem, at man en del av en global bærekraftsbevegelse. Og det vi jo gjennom å være medlem av World Green Building Council, men det vi jo også ved å ha BREEAM, som Shamir snakker om her, også et internasjonalt verktøy. Jeg kan jo også legge til at vi var veldig stolte da vi etter vårt arbeid fikk ros av BRE, og de sa at det arbeidet vi har gjort med taksonomien, det var veldig nyttig, og det ønsket de å bygge videre på når de laget sin internasjonale manual. Og det ikke så ofte de roser lille Norge, så det synes vi var veldig, veldig morsomt.